Welcome to part 2 of the Witch's Sorcery main bots review. If you missed the first part, which covered the two big archetypes of the bots, Witchcrafter and Evil Eye, you can click the eye in the top right to catch up on it. Since this video will cover a bunch of archetypes, I won't go into detail about their cards specifically, but about their potential playstyles and my overall thoughts. Also at the end of the video, I'll cover some of the cards that have potential beyond a specific archetype. First is SPEEDROID, a wind synchro archetype that can augment their levels to summon a variety of synchro monsters. Red-Eye Dice is the most important tuner of the deck because of its ability to change the level of any other SPEEDROID monster on its normal or special summon. In combination with the SPEEDROIDs that can special summon it from the hand or graveyard, such as Double Yo-Yo, Horse Toads, or Oja Kid, the deck can make its in-archetype synchro monsters, Kendama, which does piercing damage, burn damage, and can revive itself if you control no other cards, Hagoita, which can bring itself back from the grave if you control a SPEEDROID tuner, and Puzzle, which can double its attack during the damage step if it's against a stronger monster, and can also recur a SPEEDROID monster after it's sent to the grave. This deck is very budget friendly and has King of Games or Legend potential. Here's a free-to-play list, and here's a list with some additional cards from other bosses, including Samurai Destroyer and Old Entity HI-SPEEDROID. Battlewasp is another synchro archetype that focuses on swarming buds on the field to make bigger buds. While we don't have the Battlewasp tuner for some reason, there are plenty of other tuners that are fine substitutes, like Transitadia, which is in this box, or Infernity BEETLE, which is a Callan Kessler drop reward. The three main deck monsters are Arbalest, Twinbow, and Pin. Arbalest can special summon a Battlewasp from the grave and float into another Battlewasp upon its destruction. Twinbow and Pin can special summon themselves from the hand. Their two synchro monsters are pretty solid. Halberd can have the attack of a monster with equal or higher attack during damage calculation, and Hamlet does some stat manipulation. Both can burn your opponent's life points, but the damage is pretty minuscule. Battlewasp is a decent synchro archetype that, like SPEEDROID, is fairly easy for a budget player to build competently. Here's a free-to-play list. And here's a list with Gold Sarcophagus, Resonance Inset, and some other cards from other bosses to help bring more options and plays to the deck. Alterdice is a strong TCG archetype, but I don't believe that will translate to Duel Links because of the lack of good support so far. Marionetter can fetch one of two traps, Camouflage and Emulate Elf, which are both very mediocre. Fafinalite is a level 2 tuner with a mediocre effect that draws attacks and effects to it, but really only exists to help facilitate synchroing into their new synchro monster, Alterdice Dragvirion, which can negate the attacks of special summon monsters by bouncing your own Alterdice cards back to your hand, and when it's tributed, such as for the effect of enemy controller or ballista squad or for a tribute summon, it can revive itself once per turn. I feel like this card would be better suited for a wielder tracker level 3 synchro spam deck than Alterdice itself, since it's a generic synchro. It's not really a playable archetype yet, so I would pass on the Alterdice cards for now. Predaplant on their own don't do all that much. Their fusion boss monster, Chimera Rafflesia, can banish monsters with a level less than or equal to it, and can also manipulate stats to get over a variety of monsters, but its real hidden strength is that when it's sent to the grave, you can add a polymerization or fusion spell from the deck to the hand. This means that splashing a small Predaplant engine into decks like Neos and Loonlight may help them alleviate some of their weaknesses, and might make them good enough to be tier 3 decks. By running Predaplant Commit a Sundew, you can fusion summon using your opponent's monsters if they have a Predator counter, which the other Predaplant monsters make it relatively easy to achieve. This makes for some of the best removal in the game, and makes Predaplants a sleeper broken archetype in my opinion. Here's a pure Predaplant list, here's a Loonlight list with Predaplants, and finally a Neos list with Predaplants. Spellbooks got a few new cards in this box, including Spellbook of Wisdom and the High Priestess of Prophecy. Wisdom is great for making your spellcasters immune to spells or traps. It's easy to use and can just be another spellbook for Fate's effect. The High Priestess can pop a card once per turn by banishing a spellbook from your hand or your graveyard, which provides spellbooks with a new removal option other than Fate, which is resource intensive. Both these cards will improve spellbooks, but I don't think it's enough to bring them back into the metagame. Another card we got was World of Prophecy. Though I don't think it fits into a traditional spellbook deck, its ability to nuke the field could be a fun thing to pull off. Here's a spellbook list that uses Justice to summon Priestess from the deck. And finally, the neat cards of the bots. Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight might be an interesting tech option in Dark Magicians, but having to run a brick, aka Dark Magician Girl, and the fact that the Eye of Tamais is not searchable in Dark Magicians makes this a really inconsistent combo to pull off. Masked Chameleon is a tuner that was run in one of the top 100 KC Cup global decks. Gokis used it to not only make some powerful synchros, but also to send their Gokis to the grave to trigger their search effects. It's a decent card with future potential. Primitive Butterfly can special summon itself if you control no monsters, and once per turn, can increase the level of all insect monsters you control by 1. It could be usable in Battlewasp, but I don't think there's a good deck for it right now. It could also be good tribute fodder. I don't really know. Inari Fire and Nefarious Archfiend Eater of Nefariousness have potential when its seed summoning comes out later this year because of how easy they are to special summon and the fact they are low 4s. Keep an eye on these cards, I feel like they'll be meta warping one day. Last but not least, we have Chain Hole, which can negate a monster's effect if it's chained to something, then your opponent banishes a copy of it from their deck or a random card in their hand. It doesn't really deal with the problem monster on the board, and I think there are better alternatives such as Phoenix Chain, though that's restricted to a selection bots, so Chain Hole, it's pretty decent. And that'll do it for the Witches Sorcery bots talk. If you enjoyed this video or have suggestions for another video, leave a comment down below. Until next time, take it easy.